All right. It's April 12th, 10 days after the Nintendo Direct debacle. Two in the course of 7 days, only to announce an incredibly overpriced console and exactly five AAA exclusives, none of which feature Link or Mario. This is ridiculous. I don't know how to explain hundreds and thousands of users on YouTube and every single feed that Nintendo has uh, asking for the price to be dropped over and over and over and over and over. Um, the console is $50 over expected price on my hand, and I just wanted to make a sort of a post-mortem, a sort of dissection of what the hell is happening, what is Nintendo doing, what is all this? I mean, there's so much to know, and people have so many questions, and the reality is, it's all there. It's all there in the fine print. We know everything. You just have to dig. And unfortunately, uh, we're in this day and age where companies are okay with just letting us self-educate or complain or just let us spread misinformation between each other. So I once again gathered and aggregated a massive amount of resources, and here I am doing this video on the fly, and we'll see how it goes. Uh, but I'm here, and I'm clear enough. So I guess the first thing that we should talk about is the price because the price is stupid. The price is ridiculous. Uh, I was expecting $400. Trump's been announcing tariffs since the day he took office, and I mean it was pretty much foreseeable that yeah, it was part of his platform that he was gonna set tariffs before he even took office. Um, I mean, I have a very strong feeling that the $450 price point in the United States of America is due to facing Trump's tariffs in advance. I think a big reason why the price is set at what it is because of being prepared. I think that Nintendo was prepared, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, what's going to happen? Well, no, the tariffs are going to set in as a 90-day pause." Uh, I think the reality is that once the company comes out and dictates what the price is, it's set in stone. Okay, so there's nothing to be scared about. Like the price isn't going to change if the tariffs get ridiculous and in the way, whether it affects Japan or Vietnam. We're looking at a $450 priced console, and I think it's already overpriced. The tariff already had an effect before it was set in place. Uh, and then on top of that, Mario Kart. We need to talk about Mario Kart. Mario Kart is bad news. Mario Kart is $80. Mario Kart is $80 in digital and physical. Uh, I mean, you can save $30 by buying the Nintendo Switch 2 with Mario Kart bundled. Yeah, but $80 is ridiculous. $80 is we're opening the floodgates for a new $10 price increase for what is essentially quadruple A video games. And how do you determine or decide? How do you define what a quadruple A video game is? Because this means, this means that probably the next Gears of War, probably the next Halo, the next Spider-Man, the next Horizon, the next The Last of Us, the next Grand Theft Auto for sure is going to cost $80 and potentially even more. And Nintendo shamelessly announced a game that they think holds the value of $80 merely uh, as they say themselves due to replayability. They don't seem to have a good explanation or reason for why they're pricing the game at $80. There's nothing about development time or effort. Uh, they see players are gonna have a lot of things to do, but I don't define $80 by, collecting 1,000 Petruchio feathers in Assassin's Creed 2. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, and to justify $80 game, like this has got to be a game of the decade. and it's Mario Kart, and it's not going to be. And on top of that, I mean, okay, we'll finish out the prices before we get into the game lineup because that was a slap in the face to me. I know a lot of people came off of this direct thinking it was like the best thing in the world. They were super excited. It was the thing. I came off of this direct thinking this is the worst press conference from any video game company in the history of my life. I've watched a lot of press conferences since I was the age of 11. Okay, so that's one a year, and I'm 32 now. The major press conferences, right? Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, uh, and Ubisoft showed up at some point down the line. So did EA. Yeah, and this takes the cake. This is by far the worst press conference I've ever seen because not only were the prices a slap in the face, but the lineup. Where's the lineup? It's dead, and things that should have been announced weren't. It's just like, oh, here's some Mario Kart and Metroid Prime and a wheelchair game. Good times, guys. Okay, so uh, looking at prices. Oh dear God. This is ridiculous. Okay, so where do I start? Let's let myself out for a second. Oh my God. Okay, this is mental. I don't even I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. This. Okay, so this is an official product page from the Nintendo website itself. Um, the console is expensive. The console's 450 bucks. We know the console's 450 bucks. Mario Kart's 80 bucks. Vast pricing of AAA games is set standard at 70 bucks. Indie games, of course, variable pricing, you know, 10 to 50 or whatever, 5. I've seen $2 games, whatever. The dock, the dock is $110. $110 for a glorified fan in a box is $110. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there. There's not. There's a chip that displays the console from the console to the TV. That's it. That's all it does. The rest of it is just cords. It comes with a USB-C cord, and it comes with an adapter, a glorified adapter. So that's two cords. You get two cords in the box. And I don't even and that's the console. That's the console. What comes in this box? It looks like it might just be a USB-C cable and a wall adapter. And you can buy the wall adapter separately, and the wall adapter costs 30 bucks. So that's got to be some hype technology. I know Samsung super speed chargers can run up to like 90 to 110 bucks. I bought mine personally on sale for 60. Base price was 90 bucks. Uh, I mean, I'm the kind of person who's willing to do that for how much they use their devices, how much I use that cord and that adapter. I supercharge anything that's willing to take any level of voltage. Uh, did 30 bucks. 30 bucks is ridiculous. Okay, this is Nintendo we're talking about. This is historically a company known for producing video games for for children, for this is a common core games. This is what turns casual gamers into hardcore gamers. And Nintendo intentionally, as part of their strategy, appeals to children. This console is the kind of console that's so expensive that if somebody's buying a video game console for themselves, an adult male, right? Who's gonna willingly hand this to their child, unless they bought it for their child intention in the first place? Who would do that knowing that the $450 could be, snapped in half, uh, cracked, uh, scratched terribly, overcharged? I mean, at least it's not OLED, you know, but this is expensive. Like this is expensive. Like I can just say it over and over and over and over and over. Like I don't know how this is clicking for most people. I mean, a lot of people were crying about the price. I mean, I think most people agree with me. This is ridiculous. And you look at the Joy-Con right here, in the corner, right next to me, right here. You see that? 90? 90 bucks? That's insane. We came off the Joy-Con 1, which was priced at what, 70 bucks? 70 or was it 80? Oh my God, it's ridiculous. And then you got and you got these new Mario Kart wheels. You got these new Mario Kart wheels over here, glorified plastic holders. Yeah, maybe they slot and they show the battery power and green lights just like, the old Joy-Con grips. $20? No, no. Nintendo, stop. And then a single Joy-Con. You're losing out on $10. You're losing out on 10, but you pay 50. You pay 50 when you can buy a set of two for 90. So if you're buying one each separately, you're paying an extra $20. That's ridiculous. And then you look at the Joy-Con grip and you're paying $35. And what comes with the console is, I mean, I'm gonna have to dig back into that. I feel like it was a USB, an adapter, the two controllers. I don't think it comes with a Joy-Con grip. So I mean, this is metal as it gets. This is ridiculous. Oh, and on top of that, the Pro controller, the Pro controller at the cost of $80, and this is not just a Nintendo uh, a Switch Pro controller. No, what they're trying now to do is to compete with the Xbox Elite controller and the PlayStation uh, Pro controller. So this is a different tier of controller. This isn't intended to be the same level as a practical functional controller. This has rear buttons and grip. The new one. This is the one, obviously. And yeah, they're trying to justify the prices of $80 from 60 for two grip buttons, GL and GR. Two, not four, not six. Nothing that is you're gonna be able to leverage for any level of advantage in any video game. No, it's just two buttons, $80. Okay. Uh, let's go back to the specs and my predictions. Give myself a break from, you know, let's turn it off for a second. Okay, so we had this beautiful PowerPoint I set up. I threw myself in the way of it. It's bad time. Uh, yeah. Um, I hit just about everything, everything on the nail, minus the RAM and the internal storage, which is not solid state drive. Yeah, the console is effectively, in a lot of ways, a point 0.5 upgrade, and it absolutely does not reach true 4K. This is an up-resing console featuring DLSS 2.2, and it is in fact essentially still a Switch 1. Um, Officially confirmed, the GameCube hub adapters do in fact work for the Switch 2. Has officially been confirmed. The new Joy-Con do have different rumble, not I said no new rumble. No, that is incorrect. A few new buttons and capabilities. Technically correct. Not really any new buttons at all. Mind the C button. Um, but it's the same clicky sticks that we're used to. So it's essentially the exact same console that we already had. Runs most Switch 1 games natively. Yeah, we're looking at about PS4 quality, uh, PS5 speed, depending on how much strain you're putting on the console. Uh, it really isn't a big difference in frame rate and resolution for most people. Uh, I like 120 hertz. I'm super excited for it. Uh, the resolution, so things get iffy because you can run a 1080p in handheld, but if you're running 1080p in handheld, you lose out on the frame rate because, as we now know, it seems like most games aren't going to be able to pump at 120 hertz at 1080p. They're going to be reduced down to 720p, and that's not so impressive. That's terribly not impressive. That makes this console in some ways weaker than the Steam Deck and variants of the Asus ROG and whatever Corsair's got. Uh, this is true. Micro Express SD micro. Launch at $400 is wrong. August or later. No, we now know the date is June 5th. And yeah, it's looking like it's gonna be an economic disaster. Overpriced and underproduced, overproduced and underbought. Uh, it's because of a high price tag. High price tag. Too similar, no interesting launch. I called it. I literally, I called it. I called it 6 months ago, 8 months ago. Oh my God. Yeah. People are saying that the new sticks feel pretty good. They're technically not Hall Effect, but it seems like they are Hall Effect all in but name. This is new technology. This is something copyrighted by Nintendo. Uh, yeah, based on early tests, there's people at the Nintendo experience, what everybody's been saying, all sorts of journalists getting their hands on the console. It looks like they solved most of the problems of the original Joy-Con, most of the problems of the original console. Um, and yeah, once again, called it first in Nintendo history to have true party chat and only true party chat. No game public chat, no in-game public chat. You can only talk to people already on your friends list. So this is a child-friendly console, and then the same Nintendo eShop called it yet again. As for launch lineup, it remains to be seen. But the vast majority of it was it's just based on facts. It's just based on wisps of either, rumors in the air that are closer than further, and then just time-based speculation and what studios are known for keeping exact tempo and not really missing a beat. So we know what games are getting sequels. So this is as far as I can gather. This is a completely accurate launch lineup. They're not passing up on Animal Crossing New Horizons 2. It looks like this Tomodachi Life, this is first party game being funded by Nintendo. It looks like they're going to give it some air to breathe, and that this is getting delayed if it is still in development. And who knows if it's just going to be in just another flat Animal Crossing, or if we're going to get something more advanced, akin to like Life in Portia and more modern life simulation, farming simulation games, because Animal Crossing needs an overhaul. It does desperately. It's just my personal argument. I can't sink more than an hour a day into that game. It gets tedious and tiring. We now know that the old uh, Ring Fit does not operate very well on the Switch 2, you need to use an old controller. And the old controllers do in fact pair with the Switch 2. We now know Mario Kart 9 is called Mario Kart World. Uh, Pokemon, it looks like it's getting uh, an up an update for the Switch 2. So it's launching on the Switch 1, but it looks like we're getting what are they calling in the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. It hasn't been confirmed, but that's what it looks like. And it looks like if we are getting a 3D Mario game, if we are getting Super Mario Sunshine 2, it is not from the devs of Super Mario Odyssey, because it pretty much confirmed that the devs of Super Mario Odyssey are the ones who made this Donkey Kong Bonanza game. So that's I don't know if that's good news or bad news. And then yeah, yet again, Metroid Prime 4 is a simultaneous release. So what we're technically getting is a Switch 2 edition. We're getting the Switch 1 variant of the game, and then a pay for upgrade patch if you should you decide to buy the the older variant of the game, the variant of the game designed for the Switch 1. Uh, so as for spec predictions, they back into it. Here's the list. This this is God sent. This is completely accurate. Mind this big floppy fail right here. Yeah. So we know it is the Tegra 239, which seems to run at like 1.9 to 2.1 gigahertz, fully amped in the Nintendo Switch 2 dock. It is being throttled to around 1.6 gigahertz. Uh, People are saying it's a pretty impressive console. It's got a pretty stable rate. We now know that the screen was exactly correct. It is an 8-inch LCD. Uh, Mind the fact that, for the 8 inches, point 9, 10, 11, 12.3 of the inches is bezel. So it's a 7.9-inch LCD. 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5X at 7500. Uh, that's looking to be correct. It might be 68. It might be 6800. Um, and then we now know that all micro SD Express 9.1 cards work in the Nintendo Switch 2, not just the specific two middle speed classes, but all four of them. So you will gain significant advantages buying the higher level speed classes, because it looks like it makes complete use of the standard and specification. So why not buy the best, you know, to install faster, to read faster, to get the best performance out of the game? Because ultimately, if you're playing off this of a physically installed storage device, you want it to be as fast as possible in order to load and run as fast as possible. It's going to have an impact, guaranteed. Um, and the speed classes do have more than a nominal distinction based on research. Technically, these products haven't been released yet, but we know milliseconds of difference in in loading times and read and write speeds. And we know that the console is either HDMI 2.0 or 2.1. But if the console is HDMI 2.1, it doesn't make full use of HDMI 2.1. So what was the point of integrating that specification? It might be HDMI 2.0. But yes, the console hits 120 hertz max. That is what it's capable of. All of its factors put together. It's just the highest it can go, stably. I mean, yeah. And we also know it's a variable refresh rate capable, which is really great, which is super cool to me because it reduces screen tearing, makes things look better, and it creates the illusion of when stuttering and dragging is happening that it's not, because the frame rate slows down and it pumps it out accurately, pumps out the frames that have been actually generated, as opposed to skipping or missing frames. And we have 60 hertz, 4K upscale. Uh, and it looks like any game willing to hit uh, that specification will get the upres 4K treatment. We'll see how many indie devs are willing to, box with that. And the price, we already did that. And March 28th was very wrong. It was that was a filler date. It was completely wrong. And we now know it's June 5th. Okay. And oh my God, there's so much to talk about. I don't want to drag it all out of order. Oh, output for 4K content. The big thing to talk about would probably be God, the big revelation of Metroid Prime 4. We're gonna drag up my slideshow because it's a big deal. Uh, okay, so we're gonna kick me out of the way again. Okay, so there's no specifics, but we got HDR support, we got faster load times, obviously, improved frame rate and resolution. So they're just making use of the specs of the console as opposed to like doing anything specific for the game. This says exactly the same thing. These are big title cards directly from the Nintendo Switch 2 sub landing. You gotta click once or twice to different parts. So Jamboree is getting a big DLC content pack. Uh, all Nintendo Switch 2 edition upgrades for Nintendo Switch 2 physical games and digital games costs $10. But if the Nintendo Switch 2 uh, edition of the game has a DLC bundled. It's an extra $10, so you're looking at $20 for Kirby and the Forgotten Land. You're looking at $20 for Mario Party Jamboree, and there's your Switch 2 version of Pokemon Legends ZA. Weird logo. The A is kind of, but I'm gonna start complaining. But here's the big deal, and I'm not gonna be able to talk about it fast enough before the slide transitions. I don't think it's gonna pause. But the point is, mouse support. That's crazy. But most importantly, performance mode runs at 120 frames per second in 1080p resolution in TV mode. Only 720p in handheld mode. It's 120 hertz at 720p handheld. That means that's our limit, very likely. This is going to be a resource intensive game. This is going to be like Nintendo giving it their all and their best, pushing the console. So what we're going to see is that this is a limit. This is a limit. This pretty much guarantees for the history of the console's life that all we're going to see is 720p, 120 hertz, and I think that's going to set a standard for most uh, indie games should they choose to operate 120 hertz. Most indie games don't. They do 30 or 60, um, depending on whether or not they're an action game. Most actually target 30. Uh, there's your enhanced resolutions and textures. But at least it hits 1080p 120 when docked. We know the console's capable of it when the heat is dissipated and when enough voltage is put through. Uh, but apparently the console can't do that without the dock. This is an important detail to acknowledge. Is that's the limit that you're going to be getting with this console. Is it worth the upgrade from a Switch 1, which was $300, now to a Switch 2, which is 450 or $500? It, it's a nominal distinction. All you're getting is once again five exclusives. I guess now is the point at time where I should be talking about that. Let's bring up, I guess. Okay, so this one's mental. Okay, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the game is a bundle that includes the original game and its upgrade pack, which enhances the game to take advantage of the capabilities of the Nintendo Switch 2 system, only available for select games. Okay, so this is essentially confirmation that when you buy a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the game, you also get, this is, includes the original game and its upgrade pack. You get the original Nintendo Switch game if you're buying the whole Nintendo Switch 2 edition, if you're not just merely buying the upgrade pack. So it looks like the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of games like Metroid Prime 4, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Mario Party Jamboree, and the two Legend of Zeldas, it looks like they cost $70. But you get the game twice. You get the game twice. Uh, and of course, if you're only buying a Nintendo Switch 2 and you've never had a Nintendo Switch 1, there are probably avenues by which you can save money instead of just buying a Nintendo Switch 2 edition physically or digitally, which they know they will. We do know that they will be available physically. Uh, and yes, of course, they're available digitally. So you could pay $70, and it looks like if you buy a $70 physical retail edition, that you're not getting two versions of the game. So you better off buying digitally. Of course, we all know Nintendo doesn't really put their digital products on sale very often and for high discounts. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. It took me, I waited years for Super Smash Bros. DLC to go for half off for, a selection of, what was it, 14 characters. Uh, so yeah, you're paying $70 or you're paying $70. Uh, Here's another big one. Okay, so we got two PDFs of games for the Nintendo Switch that either have complete startup issues. It just the game doesn't seem to be compatible, and Nintendo's trying to negotiate fixes with the developers and the publishers in order to get the games working. And then we have another set of games that just have Compatibility issues. They start up, they don't do what they're supposed to do. So there's nothing too important on either of these lists. Let's see, Batman the Enemy Within. I don't know how many people haven't played that. Botany Manor, that was on Game Pass. Dead by Daylight, I don't know how big of a deal it's going to be for some people, but does Doom Eternal, Everspace. I'm not sure what they mean by Final Fantasy. Might be the Pixel Remaster. Might just be, I don't know if there's multiple distinctions and releases of Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 1, Gang Beasts, Little Nightmares Complete Edition, NASCAR Rivals NBA 2K18, 2K25, Palia, Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville, Rocket League. That's an issue. Uh, Old Star Wars games. Jackpot, Jackbox Party Packs. 1, 2, and Trilogy. 1, 2, and 3. Uh, Warframe. Oh, that's a hit. Looks like Warframe's gonna have to re-release. Uh, and this is the list for games with utter startup issues. And here's a list of compatibility issues. Alan Wake. It's a big list. These guys are easy to get to. You just gotta click to the Switch 2 section, go to games, games with issues. But I thought I'd bring that up. Yeah, it's not too bad. Seems that most games between the Switch and Switch 2, most games run, and there's just a few compatibility issues. Out of the thousands released, the ones that can run, it's not a lot. It's nothing too important, but it's like Warframe and Rocket League. Uh, yeah, a minor issue with Fall Guys, I guess. And here's the eShop PDF. Our first look at the updated UI for the same old eShop. Are you going to be able to dig through both Switch 2 and Switch 1 titles? It seems, considering that the Switch 2 can run Switch 1 titles, not including those in the UI in order to be bought and sold would really be asking the developers out of their paycheck. There we go. You got Splatoon right there, which is that's your confirmation that you got access to the catalog on Switch One. It's the same exact eShop. It just looks different. It's the same database in many ways. It's probably the same exact infrastructure. It's probably little next to nothing that's happened different back end, which is bad news. Which is really, really, really bad news. We'll see how wrong I am about that, or we'll see if they fix things before it gets released. But I'm willing to bet nothing has changed back end. And this is a terrible, terrible eShop. Web-based, loads really slow. A lot of the eShop's faults are not at the problem, not at the fault of the Switch One. It has nothing to do with the processor or the RAM. It has to do with the fact that they're HTML based. It's a web shop, and we need a dedicated app system because the Wii the Switch one was trolling us. The Switch one was trolling us. Uh, yeah, the looks, your little blurbs and your buttons. Oh, it's exactly the same. It's nothing surprising here. I don't want to know how people still had questions about how this was going to work or what it meant. Here, a confirmation of price of $70 for your. Uh, maybe the game was $70 base price with before the Switch edition. Maybe it's $80 for that specific game. That would really hurt. For $80. Nintendo Switch 2 Edition Tears of the Kingdom to be on the same level as Mario Kart World. We'll see how that goes, Nintendo. We'll see how that goes. Don't I don't know if the odds are in Nintendo's favor. I really don't. Um, no, I really think that they're not. I really think that this is a bad time. Uh, and we gotta handle virtual game cards, game chat, game share, and family lending. These are some pretty crazy updates to the console. I'm gonna get my stuff out of the way, but essentially, I don't know. It's kind of revolutionary. I'm kind of overhyped, kind of excited for it, but essentially, you can replicate your game between multiple other consoles uh, in order for multiple people uh, to play the same game at once. So it's game share. And then here we have Nintendo Family Group, in which you can loan out games to anybody who joins your family group. And I think the limit was like 8 people, which is pretty crazy because then you can just, buy whatever games, your family members buy whatever games, and as long as you own it digitally, you can ship around the key, and players can play whatever game they want. The bad news, what it looks like, is that if you share a game, you lose the game. Which, I mean, it seems pretty obvious. It seemed like a pretty obvious self-deduction that that's what would happen. Why would Nintendo want multiple people playing the same game? We'll get back to game share, which is interesting. Blah blah blah. You can lend out virtual game cards to your Nintendo account family group members. Blah blah. You can lend one game per account for 14 days unless the borrower returns it earlier. So at 14 days, the game clocks out if you connect to the internet. We'll see what happens if you don't. Is persistent online, turn off your Wi-Fi. I mean, there's always glitches and gimmicks to things like that. And I cheated my way into extra 3 months of I think it was The Witcher 3 on Game Pass because Game Pass expired, but I turned off Wi-Fi, so I had the key and I didn't have to keep checking. Uh, which was cool. And as long as you keep the console on and persistent, yeah, you get the game indefinitely, which was interesting. That it's probably patched by now, but it was working for me. It was totally unnecessary, a way to skimp out on paying money, but it's how it goes. Both local wireless and internet communications are required for letting software. It's obvious. Available Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch Lite, and Nintendo Switch OLED. System update is required to use this feature on Nintendo Switch systems. Of course, the lender has to be a Nintendo Switch 2 console user. Uh, the lower level Switches cannot. So if you own multiple Switches in your household, you can share out your games to yourself. So if you buy a Switch 2 edition game, uh, that game doesn't suddenly become, having the second variant of the game for the Switch one doesn't suddenly become ineffective. Remember, you bought 2 editions of the game. Uh, and for anybody else who has an account in your friend group, your little family group, you can just ship them the game. What remains to be seen is whether or not you can split the distinction between a Switch 2 edition of the game and a Switch 1 edition of the game. Uh, doesn't look like anything is talked about here in the fine print. Compatible systems must be linked to a Nintendo account to use virtual game cards. Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games and Nintendo Switch 2 edition games can only be loaded on a Nintendo Switch 2. But does that mean double copies? Does it mean 2 people could be playing the same game? Uh, I mean, there's not really anything multiplayer aside from Mario Party Jamboree, and that looks like you can game share, so the functionality doesn't seem particularly necessary. To move virtual game cards between systems, you must pair the systems via local wireless and the internet connection, but only when pairing the systems for the first time. Up to two systems can be linked per Nintendo account. Oof, up to two systems total can be linked per Nintendo account. Mm, you know, fine print bad news. Yeah, you got your Switch 2 and you got your Switch 1. Uh, it just it's messy all over. But this was really cool. This was impressive. This is a game chat game share. So by enabling game chat, which in order to use game chat, obviously you have to be on a Switch too. As long as you game chatting with people, you can share any compatible game, and the game has to be uh, predefined to be able to use this feature. So not all games are going to be able to do this, which means Nintendo's probably going to be finicky about what games they're going to enable this feature with. You can, because if they did it for everything, you'd be able to share everything. Uh, and you can just give your friends the game temporarily for a session of use. So if you wanted to have a full party to play Super Mario 3D World, or if you want to have a full party to play Super Mario Party Jamboree, uh, who knows how big the download is going to be? It's probably going to be as big as the whole game. Probably just essentially installing the whole game. Uh, yeah, you get a temporary access to the game because of connecting with somebody who chose the game share with you. No fine print. It doesn't look like they're willing yet to share how long you're going to be able to keep the file of the person your game chat sharing with, probably until the user logs out, potentially 24 hours. Who knows? But it's something funny like, okay, well, the session's over. We played our game together. Main user's getting off. What happens? It's like, well, do I get my party for the next 48 hours? Do I get to like play this game for free? Remains to be seen. So there are some questions still hovering around that you can't really deduce the answer to yet. Uh, yeah, you dig through the fine print. It's not all there. Yeah, we have virtual game cards and what was supposed to be talked about, key only game cards. And that's gonna get it's such a messy page. Okay, anyway, we're gonna talk about this one. This is effectively new DRM. This is bad news. Okay, so you could essentially have one copy of a game and you could play it between two different consoles based on home console sharing. So you make your home console somebody else's console and you've got your console and you have to play online mandatorily in order to access your games. And that person who you've home console shared with can log in and play your game. Therefore, you have essentially you've made two copies of your game. You guys can both play at the same time. Therefore, you can play together. What virtual game cards does is it's essentially a tracker device for issuing out loans of games between an account. Or if your home account is somebody else's console, and somebody else is running your game on their account, what this system now does is it essentially tracks whether or not your your game card, your virtual game card, is in use by another user, which potentially means that you're no longer going to be able to play two copies of the game between two consoles because of the home share exploit. This this isn't good news. This is awful news. This is actually bad news based on fine print, based on as much as I've been able to interrogate this. This is essentially a new form of DRM. All the prints right here. If you have two different systems linked to the same Nintendo account, you can choose which system to play it on. Just link with the physical game. Just, just like with the physical game, not link. Uh, just like with the physical game card. Simply eject a virtual game card from one system and load it onto the other. Let's see how that sounds fishy. Why would you have to borrow a game from yourself? You own the game. Why couldn't you just play it on two separate consoles at the same time? But now you have to eject and send the game between two different consoles. You have to eject a digital edition of a game. You see where I'm going with this? Like, this is what I said before. This is DRM. This is Nintendo prying. Uh, on top of them being benevolent and giving us some new features, this is the secret, this is the secret man at the top of the tree, Like this is bad news. Once a virtual game card is loaded to a system, not only can you play it without an internet connection, but other users on the system can play it too, which is essentially home console sharing without an internet connection. But does that mean your account, since you loaned out the game, do you still have access to your game in the first place? No. No. It has already been shown that you're essentially giving it away. If you loan a game to another user, uh, you don't have it. You don't have it, which is crazy. You pay $70. I played my game. My friend Phil wants to borrow it. Uh, why would I loan it to him if now I can't use it indefinitely for the I limit 14 days until it kicks it back to me mandatorily? Why would there need to be a limit of 14 days? Aside from, limiting the person scumming the game for free, 14 days is enough to finish most video games. What is the intent here? I think the intent is I think what the undercurrent is that you're losing access to your game. You're losing access to your game temporarily for someone else to have access to the game. So this whole game sharing, game freeware type thing that's going on is going to have a cost when you lend, not when you game chat, game share, but when you land, which you can now do to users, uh, and users in your own family. And then we got this whole big wheel. Oh, this is a mess. Okay, so essentially, game key cards are glorified physical keys that can be retraded. So there's nothing on there, nothing, minus a key, and you basically put it into your console, and you have to download the game, and it downloads it from the eShop. It installs however big the game is. So it's just like owning a digital copy of the game, except you don't. You have a physical key. The moment you get rid of that key, you have the file still installed on your console, but you can't do anything with it because you don't own the game. Uh, so it looks like these are going to be available for people to resell. Uh, so whether or not that's consumer friendly is up for debate. I mean, it's a key card that has nothing on it. It's what value $60, value $70. I mean, yeah, it allows you to play $60, $70 game. Uh, but it's a physical object that can be destroyed or lost. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess people are going to be willing to pay, 60, $70. I mean, the person who buys it in the first place is going to be paying 60 or $70. We'll see how the value drops. But personally, I would not pay. It doesn't run anything locally. It doesn't. There's nothing on it. So if you don't have an internet connection, like what's the value of the game? Like most Xbox games, actually had something on the disc. So you put it in the console and you were disconnected online. Yeah, you would have to install it. It would install and rip from the disc, and you can play something from what the disc has. So this is new era shit. This is Gen Z shit. This is bad. Oh, so the game lineup. Oh, geez. Okay. This is debacle in itself. One, two. That's a bad picture that just has random crap. Okay. Anyway, I guess you're just gonna have to look at my face. This is too much work looking for a picture of this high quality enough to represent what actually just happened. Um, okay, maybe it's not. It's terrible. Switch to launch lineup. Oh, there we go, right there. Is there switch to launch lineup? This is it's not great. Okay, so yeah, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Kirby Air Riders, and the Dusk Bloods. What we got is one, two, three, four, five, a total of five first party exclusive. Mind you, the Dusk Bloods is very likely a timed exclusive. What we have is four first party exclusives. One is a Mario Kart. Yeah, we don't have a 3D Mario. We have a Samus game. I mean, Metro Prime games are pretty big. I love the 1 and 2. Who knows if this is going to live up to the hype of 1 and 2. 3 was kind of bad. And we've got Kirby Air Riders making its return. It's been a long time since the GameCube days. Who even knows what Kirby Air Ride is? I was calling it Kirby's Air Ride. Kirby Air Riders. I don't know. I don't know whether or not I'm super hyper excited for Kirby Air Riders, but like in general, like the collection of games that we had, I could care less. I don't. Honest opinion, like Pokemon ZA blows these games all out of the water. I mean, not put together, but like the launch lineup, what we're explicitly being given and shown, has little to no value at all. I mean, I know some people will just play Mario Kart over and over and over and over and over and over and over for a solid 5 years, just 6 years. Uh, yeah, when did Mario Kart 8 Deluxe come out? I had Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. I did not rebuy the game. I did not buy Deluxe. I wound up with a copy of Deluxe because I bought another Switch in a bundle, and I spent no time with the game. Maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe three total. This is a local multiplayer, and maybe like one online match. Um, and Mario Kart doesn't have the infinite replayability to me. It does in a room where you're playing against people that you know. 24 players LAN remains to be seen whether or not that can be done, how that's going to be done. You can count me out of the Nintendo Online Network. It's terrible. It's super laggy. It's brutal. I hate playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate online. It's a bad time. You get Donkey Kong Bonanza, and it looks awful to me. It really does. This is I, it reminds me of Fracture. It reminds me of Fracture. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Fracture or Red Faction. This is like destroyable terrain with no intent, with no game designer intent. Like maybe some designated turf on the surface or in a wall, and you punch your way in, and yeah, you wind up in a zone where a developer has actually put something there. But in general, it's like you just bash away terrain, and largely what you're gonna find is like nothing. Maybe randomly generated content. Who knows how the game functions yet? Not enough people have spent time with it. But to me, no, it looks like another collectathon. It looks like Donkey Kong 64 in the worst way. And now we have this new Illumination Entertainment Minion style Donkey Kong redesign that I mean, I guess it's supposed to be an homage to the old days of Donkey Kong, but it's so gross. It's so gross and grotesque to me. Like the original Donkey Kong compared to like the Donkey Kong I grew up with. Yeah, Donkey Kong 64. I go Donkey Kong 64 every day. I love the modern redesign. This is gross. This is terrible. And unfortunately, Metroid Prime 4 is shaping up in my mind to be more like Metroid Prime 3 Echoes, or is that Echoes, rather than 1 and 2. Uh, Unfortunately, I think we're not getting a great game. Yeah, I mean it's a first party game, and you're very likely not going to be disappointed by it. But 1 and 2 had such a fascination for me that I don't think this game is going to live up to. Uh, I've seen a bunch of the puzzles so far based on play, the Nintendo Switch 2 experience, and I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not seeing it. Maybe I was younger and those games were a lot harder back then, uh, or maybe I'm not dreaming, and if those games were actually more complicated and the puzzles were less simple. Navigating the map was complicated. It just the tricks you had to manage with game design resulted in a more complicated structure of game design. Uh, so Metroid Prime 4, it looks like it's little bit too modern. We'll see. Duskbloods, okay, like anything from software is an F to me. I can't stand from software. I hate them. I hate their games. I really do. I hate everything that they made. I put a solid 8 hours of Sekiro. Uh, I killed that first boss and I was done. I was done. I was like, no, that was too much effort for this one thing. The game is a tragedy of unforgivingness. It is not fun. It is tedious. It is frustrating. It is unforgiving. It is defeatist. It is really, really, really defeatist. Is the best way to put the mentality and methodology of game design. It's so hard that it seems to intentionally want to make you feel bad, and the gratification you get from winning, it just makes you feel like you burned hours and hours and hours of your life instead of playing something you could have actually been enjoying. Um, you got Bloodborne, you got Demon Souls, you got Dark Souls 1, 2, 3 is their fourth. Uh, I hate them all. I hate them all. It's just scummy button pressing. You tempo your block, you slash the right time, you backstab. It's about exploiting very, 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 very simple game mechanics. Uh, Demon Souls, it's just not my kind of fun. It's awful. I hate it. It's disgusting. This is a negative to me. This actually it takes the Switch down a notch. Like I don't want this. I don't want to see this on a web landing. I do not care. Like hide from software from me. I have absolutely no interest. And of course, I mean, we really shouldn't be including Metro Prime 4 in the same way that we really shouldn't be including uh, Pokemon Legends ZA. But I mean, they're switching two editions, so they have better frame rate. Um, but you know, I think Kirby Air Riders, which no, nothing but a trailer. This is like Kirby writing, but that's it. That's our lineup. It's one, two, three, four, 5 games. Cross this one out. 4 games. Cross the Dustbloods out, which was temporary, which is 3 games. 3 games. We got Bonanza, Mario Kart World, Kirby Air Riders. Where's Super Mario Sunshine 2? Where's Animal Crossing? You'd think you would want early adapters for what was essentially the most popular game on the Nintendo Switch 2. In some light, I mean, I know that is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was probably the highest selling, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which had something like a 1.4 attach rate. Like, how do you own 1.4 of a game per console? I guess people are buying physical and digital, which is which is mental. But I mean, Animal Crossing New Horizons, it caught a whole gender. It literally caught a whole sex, and it brought them to a console. So I'm gonna say this over and over and over. Switch One was a miracle moment. It came in the middle of a pandemic. Uh, Based on the pricing of this nonsense, most of which is $70. Tears of the Kingdom remains to be seen. It was already $70. I bought it at 50 on sale. I think I own it physical. This is the only way I could get it on sale is because retailers put it on sale as opposed to like a digital sale by Nintendo itself. If it was already $70 and it's getting a Switch 2 edition upgrade, and it's not a free update. What is that going to cost? Is that $80? I mean, I think I just answered my own question, but I'm gonna pretend like it's a speculative question because it could potentially still be $70. But that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And if you've already paid $70 for the game in the first place, and you pay $10 over, it really does cost $80 to you. But is the game that you're gonna see on a GameStop shelf, on a Best Buy shelf, on a Target shelf, is that gonna be $70 or $80? It's kind of frightening because if that's $80, that's two $80 games. AAA Nintendo. What's gonna happen with the rest of the first party games? Just no. Oh, jeez. And then here's back to my drawing board. Let's look at this one more time. The Switch 2 edition of a game is a bundle that includes the original game and its upgrade pack. So you're getting two editions of the game. Is it really worth saving the money if what you're gonna be paying is largely $70? There are gonna be people buying the game for the first time. And how many people who don't already own these games, buying for the first time, how many of these people are hardcore? Most of these people, if they buy these games at all, anybody buying the game for the first time, these games have been out for years. Uh, Jamboree, like a year, uh, 8 months, 6 months. By the time Switch 2 comes out, it come out November, December. Uh, $70 for these games, like I think the people who already have these games, who want these games, already have these games. The people who already want these games already have these games. Why? What is this? Variable pricing set around $70 is baseline for AAA games. Yeah, we're not going to see a Switch 2 price hike. This is it. For better or worse, the tariffs already had an impact. I don't think there's anything deeper to talk about besides like I don't know. Let me just kick it into like a parental guide for a slide and kick it into dad mode. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is a super expensive console. How many people want to have a free chunk of change, $500 USD, whatever price you're paying in Canadian or English pounds or euro, and you're willing to put it in the hands of a child, and you got this game, you know, uh, a Super Mario 3D and 3D Land and Bowser's Fury, Mario Party Jamboree, games that aren't too complicated. The service played by children. The service they work and function as a first game, as an introduction to video games. Uh, this game is pretty fun though. And it's just $70. Like the retail methodology here is, what are they thinking? Like what is the goal here? Who's your consumer? Who are you pointing to? $450. Yeah, and you gotta pay 500 just to save $30 off Mario Kart World. Everybody wants Mario Kart World. No one's gonna be willing to pay $80. So you're gonna save the $30. You're gonna buy the bundle. So who these 450 non-bundles, so this 40 50 iterations gonna land in the hands of, um, without a game to sell them? On top of the fact that we know we're probably gonna get colored Joy-Con too. Uh, we're probably gonna get an updated model of the console. Very unlikely that we're gonna get a Switch 2 Lite just because heat. You just can't get that power at that size. It's just too compressed, too compact. I bet on it. We're not going to see a Switch 2 Lite at all. It's just not going to happen. It can't be a thing. But we're very likely going to get a beefier version or an OLED version. Uh, the dock costs $110. Or you're just going to be knocked over and broken. It's a fan. The fan is incredibly important. You damage a fan. What's going to happen when you put in the dock and the fan's not working? Maybe the dock blows up. Uh, Maybe you deform your RAM, you deform your processor, you melt some transistors, you harm your motherboard. Uh, this all, this all spells bad, 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 bad. And when you take children into consideration, when you take casual gamers into consideration, you just take the average adult in the United States of America, especially an adult living in New York or in California, adults my age, adults 30 to honestly 30 to 30 to mid 40s, 30 to 40. Uh, the price of a home, the price of just renting an apartment, the price of renting a room that that is owned by somebody else, or renting a room in an apartment is ridiculous. The price of living is effing ridiculous. You want people to factor in a $500 console into their living requirements? This is gonna be a tragedy. This is gonna be a train wreck. This is gonna look exactly like the Wii U, based on the sheer fact that I think the tariffs were already accommodated for, and what we're looking at is a $450, $500 price console. No, nobody's gonna buy it. Nobody's gonna want to engage with it, and there's no third party software that's gonna drive sales. There's nothing. There's nothing here. Everything that's here, the good games, they're old. They're Nintendo Switch games. You don't need to upgrade to a Switch 2. You already have Tears of the Kingdom. You already have Breath of the Wild. You're gonna be able to get Metroid Prime 4. It's a Switch 2 edition. There's a previous edition. It's gonna be on the shelf as a Switch 1 game physically, and it's gonna be in the eShop as a Switch 1 game digitally. Mario Party Jamboree, which people can pick up for 40 or $30, and you're gonna be asking people to pay 70 brand new physical retail on the shelf when they could just go and they could buy it now and then you know maybe pay $20 and get the upgrade. So go from $40 plus 20, 60. Which is 20. Oh, $20 is rough. And this guy, I was really lucky. I managed to get this game for $25 off from from 60 retail. And then I'll go from 25 and I'm paying 20. So $45. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I sound like Rachel Ziegler. It's weird, 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 right? Right? Because it's weird. This is like a new day and age. This is brutal. This is unforgetting. This is disrespectful. And the current economy, the current job ecosphere, where certain degrees have absolutely no value and potential in the job market. You're looking at an era of adults who haven't become adults. They don't have kids. They don't have homes. They don't have living spaces. Uh, and you need a car in order to even get a job in most jobs. So what you look like is like we're at this point where we're starting to realize, oh, it's not the adults who are embarrassment, who aren't living up to the expectations and standards of society. Is the fact that this society is built wrong, and real change needs to start happening. And now we have an ecosystem of video games which are taunting us. This is a fucking joke. This is embarrassing. This is ridiculous. This is actually fucking hilarious. This isn't right. $80, $70 on a $500 console, $450 console with a $110 dock with $90 Joy-Con. It's $45 each, and you're gonna shoot third, shooting third party indie developers in the foot by increasing uh, the power of what the console can do and not allowing them, the know-how to even develop for best use of the console. Like how many indie devs are gonna bother hitting 120 hertz? And it's not because they aren't gonna bother. It's because they are going to look at the dev kit and they're not willing to learn how to commit to the assets and resources and optimization, whatever fun factors are necessary in order to get the game running to those levels of extremes. Guaranteed, those games are using much less assets and resources of the console. They're using much less of the processor. They're using much less RAM, and they could get those games to hit 120 hertz. It's saving them money and design time to just ignore it. So this console is not going to service indie games. This console is not going to service indie devs. Like who's going to live up to that? Who's going to bother putting in the time uh, for a game that they've already released on four, five, six other consoles? I mean, even Tales of the Shire, which is probably already geared up, ready to go, and is specifically designed for such and such consoles. I think it was PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch One. And they're gonna go out of their way and redesign in order to match Switch 2 specifications. Like, what is the guy who made a Celeste? Is it 120 hertz Celeste? No, it's just gonna re-release Celeste. I mean, the game already runs on Switch One. Uh, you- there's not much more to be said about this empty lineup, ridiculous prices, and what essentially should be a boxed in game. It's releasing for $10. Uh, this is this is the Wii U all over again. This is gonna put Nintendo probably in another crisis. But thank God they got that Mario movie money, and now they got a Legend of Zelda movie on the way. Yeah, Welcome Tour for $10. This is ridiculous. Dragon Drive, both of those games should have been packing. Absolutely, for sure. Both of those games should be packing. This is ridiculous. This is There's so many speculators who are just there's so many analysts, professionals who have no idea how this works, what's happening. The tariffs are already accommodated for. You can price point. You can price point all the objects in the console. You come with an aggregate price based on bulk price buying. You have the intellect. You just do the math, do the work. Um, very likely this console is already accommodating tariffs that hadn't even happened. So the rest of the world is paying for uh, Donald Trump talking smack is essentially what I'm saying. Announcing in advance that he was going to be uh, trying to bully economic fairness out of other nations by enforcing tariffs because the United States of America has that much purchase power. For a nation that has this level of quality of life, it's quite ridiculous uh, to be an adult my day and age because everybody I know has roommates. Everybody I know doesn't merely have a spouse. They have, they live with their parents, Uh, it's gotten stupid. It's gotten stupid, and unfortunately, people in power have gotten stupider. The education has become kind of like less valuable, and we're at this point where there are a huge selection of people in power who don't value this degree, that degree. Nobody knows what an English degree is. Nobody knows what an English degree means. Specific fields get payout, and everything else has absolutely little to no value. And you literally have to be a criminal. You literally have to be a lawyer or a doctor, and cheat people out of their money, in order to make a dime in this world. Uh, it, it's Nintendo. Nintendo has entered uh, the fray with with the Nintendo Switch 2 uh, at the stupidest at the stupidest way they could have. It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is fucking ridiculous. Okay, I'm done here. I said enough at this point. This is just me ranting and complaining because this is so, I can't. I can't. I can't. Anyway, this was educational. I'd appreciate the like. I'd appreciate the subscription. Feel free to visit me over on Twitch. I'm probably going to be bashing in 2 or 3 more videos over the course of the next 14 days. We'll see how that works out. But I can't get any more long-winded. Thank you.